How did I end up in my toxic and abusive relationship? I moved from Ley to Port Moresby to live with my father and his wife, my stepmother, because of my education. There was a lot of school fights going on in Ley that I was afraid that it would affect my education, so I made the decision to relocate from Ley to Port Moresby. From the beginning, my stepmother did not accept me. She did not make me feel welcome in their home. I was made to feel like the unwanted guest that I was. And according to her, I was a passenger just passing through. God would never hear my prayers, and that I would never have a future. And that really hurt me because my education and my future are so important to me. I lived with my father and his wife for more than a year before I couldn't take any more of the abuse, the mistreatment, and the toxic environment that I was living in. So one morning around 6 o'clock, my family were still sleeping and that was when I packed my backpack and I jumped out from the veranda of the building that we were living in. And thankfully there was a truck there with a truck bed, so I landed on the truck bed. I got my backpack and I walked away from that house with no intention of ever returning. And I had no money. I didn't know where I was gonna sleep. I didn't know where my next meal was gonna come from. I had nothing except my backpack that contained my school books, my uniforms. I was in grade 11 at the time. What little underwear that I could wear under my uniforms and change to wear after class. And that was it. All I knew was that I needed to attend classes 5 days a week, make sure that I was doing well in school. Because, like I said, my education and my future were so important to me. And it still is today. So I ended up living in one friend's house to another friend's house, never staying more than a night or two, because my mindset at the time was that I did not want to be a burden to my friends or their families. So I bounced around for a little bit. It was really dangerous, it was risky. I would have ended up homeless, but by the grace of God, there were people kind enough to take me in. So after bouncing around from one friend's house to another friend's house, I ended up moving into a settlement, and it was an adjustment for me for sure. It was challenging, but my living situation could not compare to the kind of future that I wanted to have. I was determined to succeed in life. I was determined to have a future, no matter what my living situation was at the time. And yes, I was hungry a lot. I would have no money, so I'd walk sometimes, and whatever little money that my mother would send me for bus fare, I just hold and use it mainly for that. So after living for a little bit at the settlement, my then boyfriend's family were kind enough to take me in, and that was how I ended up living with my then boyfriend. And I walked into a new nightmare after I just left the old nightmare and walked into a new one. So that's how I ended up in my toxic and abusive relationship. My journey was quite difficult, it was quite challenging. And I wouldn't recommend it for any young girl who's moved to Port Moresby to live with their extended families or immediate families, blended families. To live the kind of life that I live, it was risky, it was dangerous. The possibility of ending up homeless was very real. But I can't change my past. I can only take what I've learned from my past and use those lessons to keep going forward, to push forward. And my season of challenges has really helped me grow. It's pushed me to mature a little bit more quickly. And quite painful as it was to go through what I went through, I probably wouldn't change a thing if I had the power to. But if you're going through something similar that I went through, then I strongly encourage you to reach out to friends and family who can support you, who love you, who you trust in. It's okay to be strong. But it's also okay to reach out for help. You don't have to be strong all the time. You don't even have to feel ashamed or afraid. It's okay. And if you need someone to talk to and there's no one to talk to God. Or if you want to talk to me, I will be more than happy to lend an ear, to listen to you, to listen to your story. In my next video, I'm going to talk about how I almost died for the second time, the situation leading up to that event, and what happened afterwards. So if you're interested in learning more about my story of my domestic abusive relationship and the life that I was living in before and how I came out of it, then I recommend that you subscribe to my channel, and I will see you in the next video.